Welcome back to the Corrective Culture Podcast. Today we had Alicia, nutritionist, on board. We spoke about seed oils, about women's health, lots of stuff. It was a great episode.
Yeah, we spoke about why testosterone's dropping, why fertility could be dropping. We spoke about how she's sort of in a traditional relationship, well, she is in a traditional relationship, and how they go about how the world perceives that and how their dynamic is, because they're going to get a farm, live that life. You know, we've got the sourdough right here. That's what she brought us. So she's a gem, and a lot of wisdom in it for women, for men, and just health in general, just inspiration. So tune in.
Especially if you've just had a baby or you're looking postnatal advice. There's some cool shit in there. So lots of love. Welcome back, beautiful listeners, to the Corrective Culture Podcast. Today we have Alicia, nutritionist. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, her last name's actually nutritionist.
Yes.
Yes. My parents wanted some great things for me, so.
It's funny. Like at the start, I was like, when I first met you, I was like, I think that's the CMOS girl, right?
Yeah.
Because I saw your CMOS ad.
Yeah.
I swear that went viral. I saw that pop up so much.
CMOS.
Yeah, remember the CMOS? Like, I don't know. I see this. You were advertising.
Nature's Pharmacy. Their CMOS. They never even tagged me. They were just like.
Wait, hang on. So that wasn't your.
No,
Oh.
I just did. Well, I started doing content for them, and I think I was their original content creator. And they didn't even credit me. They were just like,
Whoa.
CMOS, Alicia's creating content, but.
Yeah, no, you should definitely do more content. You got like an energy about you that's very unique. That I don't know. How can you describe it, Jake?
Yeah, I don't know. Grounded.
Yeah,
Grounded.
grounded.
Like calm, centered, know yourself kind of thing.
Yeah, grounded and sure of yourself. And basically you look really healthy. You got really nice skin.
Yeah,
you.
for sure. I think that's like always the dead giveaway. Eh?
Yeah.
Skin. So I know we didn't plan any questions, but why is CMOS good for you?
Oh, okay. I feel like I was the one that kind of did the initial research for them. So like they approached me and they were like, oh, this is a new product that we have, and but you know, you've got that like nutrition degree behind you. Would you be able to kind of do the like read through the research articles and things for us? So I was a bit skeptical at first. I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to find anything, but there was an overwhelming like plethora of research of just everything that it can help with. So it's a really, like, I feel like all of our health kind of begins in our gut, which is really beautiful. And it like protects that mucosal layer of our gut, which like we have tight junctions in our gut, and that like mucosal layer like protects it. So when that mucus wears down and it's not protecting it anymore, and then we get what's called leaky gut, or if you've heard of that, but it then separates and food particles and pathogens and things that are just in our bloodstream, they get into our bloodstream that should just be passed out, like foreign particles.
Right. And because is the consistency of it almost like a gelatiny sort of style?
It is. It's like, I feel like I'd call it like a vegan kind of gelatin.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah. And my next question, when you talk about mucus, right? Why, and we had Walden sort of explain a bit of it, but I want to hear your interpretation of it. Like, you know how we have this mucus membrane, but then you get the people that have the shitloads of mucus.
Yep.
Like, why do they have the bulk? You know, when you see people like do even our cleanse or even other sort of binders sort of stuff, like when I have binders, I don't get any of that stuff. It just sort of comes out as like a charcoal clay mix.
Yeah.
But you get people where it comes out as just like rope of mucus.
Yeah.
Right? Why do those people have excess mucus? And is it a defense mechanism of the body?
Yes. That's what I was just about to say. It's always trying to show us something, like, you know, how signs and symptoms in our body are always trying to tell us something. And if we ignore them, obviously it just keeps getting worse. But mucus is protective. It's like, you know, when you get hay fever, people that do get hay fever and they get really snotty, that's our body, that's our immune system going, I'm going to produce mucus to expel this from my body.
Right.
And that's the same with if it comes out in your stool, if you're creating excess mucus, it's like there's something inside that mucus that you're passing that your body's trying to get rid of.
Okay.
So it's always that excess mucus is almost always trying to show you there's some kind of inflammation in the body and there's something going wrong and it's trying to expel it from your body.
Yeah, wow. So like food intolerances and,
Yes,
and things
that's
like
a
that.
huge one. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Mm.
Wow.
Why are food intolerances so tests especially like so like shit? Like
The testing.
yeah,
being
like
shit.
I mean I got an IgG test and like I knew a bunch of friends that did, and like it's based on your blood.
Yeah.
But like I was like allergic to oranges was like a real bad one for me, and I hardly had any. And I was just like I just felt like it was so off. You know what I mean? And then like a couple of my other friends had like real weird ones like come up, and I'm like, how do you base it on that? You know, how do you? Yeah, like do you know the science behind how they do that and why? Like, I just get a feeling of like it's not that accurate inside. You know, like in my heart.
Yeah.
But I mean, I could be wrong.
Well, that's why like it's so important to when you do testing. Like I was saying this to Rod, he's like, oh, how do you test minerals? And I'm like, well, with minerals, they pass through our body so quickly. I mean, no, sorry, the opposite. They are stored in our body for so long that the most accurate way to test minerals is a hair tissue mineral analysis. Like you're not going to get an accurate measure from blood or stool for minerals, but say if you do a like a stool test for gut intolerances, that's probably better than doing a blood test for food intolerances because taking it out of your blood, that would mean that, as I just said, there's food particles and intolerances in your bloodstream, and that's not where we look for it.
Yeah,
like it's
that makes
within
sense.
your gut, and you just kind of have to know what is the correct testing for what you're looking for.
Yeah.
My roommate Aiden, he got a food intolerance test. Took him ages, but he found out he was allergic to turmeric.
Wow.
Yeah,
so
and
rare.
he goes, and for him it's accurate, right? And maybe it's shifted, but he goes, man, because he had all these like collagen problems in his body and pain, and he's like, so I kept going to the physio, and they were like, yeah, take a cumin, like, these natural things, and I would tell people the same thing.
Yeah.
And he goes, I'd take like turmeric and cumin, I'd feel worse, but I just kept sort of doing it because I thought it's what you meant to do.
Yeah.
And even he made Sheridan's chicken soup the other day with his turmeric in it. Had one bowl and he's like, oh no, I don't think I can have any more. Right?
Really?
Like, it was only a little bit of turmeric, but he's like, no.
Wow.
It's like my body just didn't evolve to have turmeric.
Yeah,
and it's-
turmeric does that to a lot of people, eh?
Yeah, for me it's sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, for me too. Although I did have something going on in my gut after I had a lot of turmeric one week. Like I was having a fuckload of it.
Really?
So I'm a little bit like maybe I overdid it or something.
Yeah,
I just had heaps more gas than usual.
OD'd on the tunes.
I did on the tunes. Yeah, but I think you're right. Like hair analysis test, which we've done, stool test, which we were supposed to do and we didn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's sitting in my. Surely we can still use that. We paid a lot of money for that.
I know.
Yeah,
I just think too, like if you're listening, if you're sacred listening to your body, like it fucking lets you know. Like if you feel tired,
Absolutely.
like yeah, it's crazy. Dude, I had oysters last night. Fuck, oysters are crazy, eh?
Yeah.
You just wake up the next morning and you're
Just
like,
wake your missus up in the middle of the night.
dude, you just
Let's
it's
go.
it's the only thing that I really like. I just fucking I know because I just feel like I want to have sex.
Yeah.
The next day.
It is like that though.
It is, eh? It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then king's different though. Like liver and testicles is different. You feel, I don't know, it's a different thing. Like oysters, you just want to have sex.
Yeah.
King, you just feel like a little bit more like more
Dude.
energized.
Yeah.
And like, yeah.
One time I
that
loaded up on King. I forgot I did, to be honest. I had like 8 of them, I think.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there on the computer and I noticed, am I being too blunt here? But anyway, I noticed I was like on, right?
Yeah, yeah,
on.
yeah.
And in my head, I didn't want to be. I wasn't even thinking about anything sexual. I was like, what the fuck am I horny right
Yeah,
now?
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And I forgot. And then, so this is like for like principle. Sometimes it's hard to quantify that. But then you talk to Dr. Pran about it. He's like, well, it's just similar amino acid profile, so your body
Exactly,
can sort of flip it and use it. So there's obviously similarities to it all, but you definitely hit a cap.
Yeah.
Like you can't just have that every day and feel horny every day.
Nah,
you know?
nah, no way.
But even like zinc by itself, I gave Mickey some zinc capsule and made him really horny.
Really?
Which zinc makes
Cool,
your
yeah.
semen apparently.
Yep.
It is. It's like one of the most important. I remember, and that's what oysters are, just the richest source of zinc, and that's so important for fertility. But then in females, it allows the actual fetus to stick inside, like because it needs to, when it implants, it then needs to be able to like have that beautiful home to stay there. Otherwise, it just passes again.
Okay.
But yeah, and iodine's another huge one for that ability to create a beautiful home in the womb for it.
Yeah. And iodine is in what foods? Is it like kelp? Is it kelp?
Yeah,
eh?
kelp,
Like,
seaweed, mostly just like sea foods,
Yeah.
and I feel like a lot of us are super
Yeah.
deficient in it. It's just not something that all of us have enough of.
Yeah.
I remember when we were trying to conceive, we did like so much testing, just like hormone testing and everything, and it was all like so beautiful, like our hormones. But then I was like, I then miscarried, and I was like, oh, that's so strange. Like everything was so perfect. Like I got zinc, copper, like everything tested. And then I was like, oh shit, like, you know, my thyroid was fine, but thyroid's one of those things that's tested and doctors look at it and they're like, oh yeah, it's fine,
when
but
it's kinda high or
they
too low.
don't test your iodine. Like it's really rare for them to actually test your iodine, and your TSH, T3 and T4, sometimes they don't indicate that there is actually something wrong. And so I was like, okay. And I got urinary iodine done. It's like a $55 test. And it's supposed to be near 90 or 100. Mine was at 10. And I was
Whoa.
like, no wonder.
Whoa.
And like straight away I was like, at that time, I feel like I could just eat anything. I was just having like kelp in water and just like chugging it down every day. And then like next cycle I conceived, and that's 8-month-old babe out there.
Yeah.
Like,
Did you feel when you started taking the kelp, was there any sort of internal feeling of like, oh yeah, this is, my body wants this?
Yeah, I feel like there was iodine is so important so your thyroid's really important for energy production, metabolism. I feel like I was just eating and I was like, why am I so hungry all the time? And it really just regulates your energy and your metabolism, like what you're taking in and taking out. And I felt more just like, oh, I don't feel like I have to I'm not ravenously hungry all the time.
Yeah,
and,
right.
So I feel like that was my biggest change from it. I know a lot of people when they have low iodine, but then it then affects your thyroid. So by the time it does show up on that T3, TSH, T4, by that time your iodine's been depleted for so long that then it's impacting your thyroid. So I was just lucky that I didn't get to the point where, you know, it was low, but I was like, okay, now I can just replete it and it's all good again. So yeah, but you get like hair loss, really low energy, just fatigue all the time. Weight gain's a huge one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like that's a big one that I see, like when a lot of women came into my clinic and they were like, you know, that whole like, oh, I just put on weight all the time and I can't lose weight, like that whole narrative. And, you know, I'm doing everything and I don't eat a lot of food, but I'm putting on all this weight.
Yeah.
And it's not until, I feel like that was such a common thing that's like, how often do you eat seafood? And a lot of people just don't eat it. Or like we were at the point where I was like, I don't know if the quality of seafood is that good that we have access to. So I was like, we just don't eat it enough.
Yeah.
So yeah, unless you're super conscious of it, we just don't consume it.
How much would someone want to, like, do you know, is there an amount, like someone would, how many servings of say, like seaweed wraps a week? Because I love getting it. I'll get sardines and I make a mayonnaise with avocado oil and I smash it all together and I lay it on a seaweed wrap.
Yep.
And it's a way you
Yeah,
can wrap
so
something
good.
out without the gluten and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I did that yesterday, like just, like a nori sheet and then some mackerel and avocado and kimchi in it. So
Yeah,
just like
that's
the
it.
best thing ever.
That's
Hey?
the best.
Like it's so good.
So tasty.
But like it's having those things at least 3 to 4 times a week to actually like have an impact. But yeah, a lot of us just forget that.
I really think because we forget that all cultures would have definitely lived near a river. So we sometimes we think about seafood as just the ocean,
Yes.
but we forget those rivers with seafood in it, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And every culture, it's a big player. It would have to have been a big player because you need access to water, and there's going to be something living in that water, and then it's a huge part of most cultures' diet that I think it's very easy to go underlooked. And I saw this study the other day, and you know me, I'm not the guy that goes too deep into studies, but it was something about this group of people, don't remember how much, but they would had depressive symptoms, and then supplementing with fish oil made an improvement on 100% of the people, like in their psyche.
Yeah.
And I think that could be a missing link for the people that are depressed, just wake up feeling shitty all the time, because your brain's made of DHA, right?
Yes, correct. That's what I was just going to say. Like, I feel like everyone that came into my clinic that was like showing symptoms of like anxiety or depression, like I loved studying the brain so much. And you're correct. Like DHA is everything from the neck up and EPA is like everything from the neck down.
Oh, go more into that.
Yeah.
What do you mean about that?
Like, so you know how you see supplements that are like a fish oil supplement and it's either like EPA or DHA rich. So DHA is everything, whether you're having like brain fog, depression, anxiety, you'd want to look for something that's richer in DHA, which is sometimes harder to find. I feel like EPA is usually the higher one. But then far out like omega-3s and like just fish oil, I feel like just covers so many systems in the body, like brain health, but cardiovascular health. If anyone had like hypertension or anything like that, I'd be like fish oil straight away, but like a EPA rich one for your heart. And even like joints and everything like that, again, EPA, because that's like below the neck. I know there's like still joints above the neck, but more having that like fluidity, and it's one of the best things for inflammation, because a lot of the inflammation like in our diet today is caused by omega-6s. So, you know, there's like seed oils and just everything that we kind of is undesirable. And like omega-3 and omega-6 are like a
what do they call it? Like
a
balance,
a pendulum, like a balance thing, kind of like copper and
like
zinc.
Libra.
Like if you have too much copper, it outweighs zinc. If you have too much zinc, it outweighs copper. It's like the same kind of concept. But so a lot of us, like, well, not a lot of us, but like our Western society is just full of omega-6s, and that's just like driving inflammation. Whereas if we tip that scale to omega-3s, you're not, like, your body isn't so inflamed. So I feel like that was just probably like one of my top supplements that I just feel like I was always giving out, because you know, that's the whole, like, again, people aren't consuming enough seafood, and that's where you get it from.
So, and like nut milks are all omega-6, aren't they?
They are,
Like, besides coconut.
You're right, because I don't think coconut's just like a rich fatty
saturated
acid.
fat,
Saturated fat.
So like all the almond milks, just all those sort of like ones, and generally they got a mix of seed oil in a lot of those ones too.
Yeah.
So it's just an omega-6 bomb.
Yeah, it's so hard to find a
Good
plant milk that isn't laden with vegetable
There really
oil.
isn't one. Like, I mean, Cocoa Quench is like what, rice flour.
There's always
syrup.
something in
Like,
it. Yeah, rice
that's
syrup.
like the that's like the best one. And then like there was,
I think Oatly, there's a version of Oatly.
Yeah, I think there's an oat milk that's just oat milk, and then they put extra virgin olive oil in it instead. And I was like, oh wow, that's good. But it's still not as good as, you know, like we get like raw milk delivered in, like, as they did in the olden days, like in the glass jars, and then like I just clean it, give it back to her the next week, and she just delivers it to our door.
That makes me put on
so
like a lot of
sweet.
weight if I have milk though.
Okay.
Yeah, like if I have like raw milk,
Yep.
and I'm trying, like I get bigger, like noticeably bigger, and like not fat, but I just feel like it's like a
It's a big hit of calories,
yeah,
right?
like
It
I get
is.
inflamed. Well, not inflamed. It's not even inflamed. It's just like I look like I'm on steroids.
Yeah.
Like I just kind of get bigger. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I've worked out like, which Callan got me onto, which is just the AM coconut milk with with boiled water.
Yep.
It's so good. That's the best. That's the best way to make hot chocolate for sure.
Yeah, and with the milk, what I've realized now, so when I got my genetics tested, it showed that I'm probably lactose tolerant. Like I can handle lactose, whatever gene I have. So I would still have, I guess, making the lactase enzyme. But I've still noticed there's a threshold for that.
Yeah.
And since I weighed in the thermo when I make my milkshakes, I've noticed when I hit about 300 grams of break that cup threshold of even raw milk, even Cleopatra's, I'll get a little nasally.
Yeah.
So, and that's the mucus, right?
Yep,
We talk about.
absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm aware of that now. And I just think, like, imagine if that went on unchecked for years and years and years. And just something, I guess, an everyday thing. Like, I can't have it every single day.
Yeah.
And like anything, you can't have anything every single day except water, really. Hey,
Yeah.
Dude.
and you start to become like
How
intolerant
sensitive? How
to it.
sensitive do you get, man? I had a Lindt chocolate ball for my birthday last night, and I sneezed straight away. Like straight away. I was just like, it's like, if that's not a sign, like I just can't eat that shit at all.
Yeah. Well, I had one pizza at Boca the other night at Jake's birthday, and I just didn't feel like eating carbs, so I got the beef cheeks. But then he got this nice big margarita pizza. I was like, I'll have one piece of that, and straight away, hey, like minutes, I can feel. If I had a lot of it, it would have been worse, but I can feel a tightness in my body, like a subtle tightness where I start moving my neck more.
Yeah.
I start like cracking my neck, and just a level of brain fog, I guess, like some sort of subtle inflammation in my head from the gluten or whatever else it is.
It's fascinating too, because like if I was to eat a shit pizza out, I'd feel absolutely terrible. If I went to like Good Slice or like somewhere there's fermented
the
pizza,
like
I actually feel pretty good the next day. It's always blown me away, because it's like you eat a lot of food. When you eat pizza, like you just don't stop.
No,
you eat a whole pizza.
Yeah, you can just eat it so easy.
Like what is that? Is it because it's durum wheat, or is it because it's like...
Well,
like, I know it's really heavily fermented over 48 hours.
Yeah.
So your body can break it down quicker probably.
Yeah, that's the whole thing with like fermentation. So like sourdough and things that are fermented, even like milk kefirs and like water kefir.
I've got a loaf of sourdough. Yeah, guys, if you're watching on...
she built us. She's made us a sourdough.
She built us a sourdough.
This is the shit
YouTube.
like that guys love, hey? Like,
dude, it's so like, soft and like good.
I was actually talking about this the other day with someone. I was like, from my perspective, I guess I can't talk for all men, but from my perspective and a lot of men's perspective, it's like there's things that I can buy in life. You know, I can buy a cleaner to come to my house every few days. You can even buy sex if you wanted to, right? I'm not into that, but you could do that, right? Yeah. But like this nice fermented sourdough, I can't just buy that, you know, and it gives so much value. Like that's the shit that I love. Rod, he's a lucky man. Does he eat this shit all the time? He does, I bet.
He does, but I try and I'm like, oh, you know, I won't make sourdough all the time, because like I feel like if we eat bread every day, it's like intense.
It's like a once or twice a week thing.
Or I'll make it like week on, week off. So that
I remember Sean and Sheridan. Remember we were at Sean's and Sheridan's, and Sheridan just made this crazy fucking lamb, like the nicest thing. Sort of like it was nothing to her. You know what I mean? I just threw all this together. And I'm like, this would be such a big thing.
Yeah,
for me.
we were losing it.
And then we're like, this is so good. And Sean's just sitting there like, yeah, man. It's like,
this is my everyday.
This is my everyday, dude. And it's like, I looked at him with so much respect. Like, I was like, and even her with so much respect. Like, you two got it going on, you know?
Fuck yeah. They do it right, and like, It's different as like man, I cook a fucking lot of food. Like it's fuck, man. It's hard. Like we're juggling. I shouldn't say it's hard because I choose to do it, but like we're cooking every day.
Yeah.
Like at least twice a day. And then you got to prep the food and stuff like that. Like, it's full on.
I think our life, because the life of health, right, takes more time with your food.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
So that's what I think about, man. Like, for me to maintain my washing, my cleaning, keeping all the lawns, the fucking the business, which is 90% of it, my fitness, my jiu-jitsu. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff, but I feel like that's what's given me confidence. Because I know not a lot of guys can do that.
Yeah,
I know for a fact, actually, like a lot of guys aren't gonna. They may do a part of this, but they're not going to do this.
That's it.
So I think these little things of learning has given us confidence, and also not allowed us to fall into a shitty relationship, because of being a baby. Yeah, some guys will fall into a relationship because the chick just does all the things, but really they're not even that happy, and they both semi resent each other. It's this weird dynamic. But when it's this nice sharing, because no, we're going off topic of nutrition, but I would say yours and Rod's relationship is relatively traditional, right?
Yeah, it is.
And how does that make you feel as a woman?
I feel like as soon as, I think before I met Rod, I guess I go pretty deep into it, but my mum and dad have always worked really hard, and like my mum as well, and me and my sister kind of grew up more with my grandmother, and then I saw that, and I saw this, like I really grew up with like the woman is always in the workplace, like that. What I have now is not what I kind of grew up with, and then I attracted that with previous partners, like more like in their feminine, like I was more of the provider, and they were just happy with me kind of I guess dominating like in a relationship. But as soon as I met Rod, I feel like my whole life just like turned upside down. He was like, you can work if it makes you happy, but you don't have to. Like, and I was like, oh, what? Like, what do you mean? Like, that's, you know, I didn't even know that was an option. And
true. Wow, yeah. Because that is rare these days.
It is rare.
It is very rare, yeah.
And it's beautiful because then he's like, you know, like allowed me to discover and like soften into that feminine and just really become what I am. I think I love, and just it allows you to love every day and what you do. Like I love cooking and I love cleaning and I love, you know, doing and looking after the home. Like that brings me so much joy. And yeah. So
Yeah.
it's quite traditional. And yeah, so like Rod will take care of us like financially, but also like in the masculine, he'll like take care of us. Like we're moving to Tassie on a farm because he's like, oh, if a world war happens, I don't want to be here. I want to be in Tassie because like they won't find us there, you know? Like that's, he's always just like thinking for us and our family. And like he's like the protector, provider.
Yeah.
And I'm like I feel like women in that then multiply everything. Like he provides the home and like, or provides the house and I create the home. Like, you know, he provides that nurturing energy and like I raise and create babies and like that like financial thing, and then I make the food and everything like
Makes
that.
a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Women
it?
just multiply.
When
And
hearing you say, you're just like, yeah, that makes sense.
I was talking about with my roomie last night. I was like, man, right, I want to get some sort of guns at some stage in my life, and I want 6 months worth of food stashed somewhere, and I want heaps of gold and silver, just so it's to the side if anything ever happens, my whole circle's set, you know. So
and that's like Rod's already done that. He's like got his gun license. My grandfather's like, you've inherited my guns. Like he's got his silver. It's just everything. It's just like forward thinking, like for our family, and it's really beautiful.
Dude, I love like in Texas, it was so cool having guns because it was like just no bullshit. The bullshit's not there. Like if you're getting cut off on the road here at Warana and some guy pulls over, that just doesn't happen over there. Like to escalate it to that point, everyone knows it's like it needs to be like life threatening. Yeah. So there was just no road rage, man.
How do you feel about that? But would you want guns in Australia?
Yes.
You want guns?
I love it.
Yeah. See, I wouldn't want guns.
Yeah.
But I understand what you're saying.
Well, if you look into it deeper, the guns and things like school shootings and stuff like that, there's a big mental health problem there too. But the availability to get guns is kind of scary on that aspect.
For sure,
man. But the highest rate of like gun deaths and stuff is like New York City and places like that where there actually it is quite hard to get guns, like legally anyway. Like you can't walk in and get a gun. Yeah,
because they're I just think about that road rager that's also schizophrenic and just fucking slaughters 30 people. That's
it's true. Yeah, obviously there's a balance there. I just feel I don't know.
Maybe like not ARs.
I know, but even a handgun would fucking do a lot of damage. Like
it's just that fear of like knowing, like the crazy. Just the crazy people, man. There's fucking crazy people. Yeah.
I honestly, after being in Texas and feeling it, I'm kind of like semi-pro guns because it was it felt nice to just like it intensifies life, but it also it cuts through a lot of the bullshit. And I don't know. Maybe if I lived there, I'd be different. But it was refreshing for me. Yeah. There's no road rage. Everyone was way like it was heaps different vibe. Yeah. And even like I think I heard someone get shot like one night. I was falling asleep. Did I tell you about that?
Oh yeah.
There's 5 shots fired, and I was just like, it was just like a quick like drive-by or something like that. And I was like, well, this is pretty gnarly. Yeah. And I was lying in bed with no gun, and I was like, dude, if someone breaks in right now, I'm fucked.
I know. You'd feel safe for sure.
Yeah.
It's like I'd love myself to have one and not everyone else.
Yeah.
That's how it feels. Yeah. Like shit when like that's why I got that. You know, we got that recurve bow, and I sort of got into a little bit of that. I'd like to get really good at hunting and that just purely for the masculinity aspect of it to survive.
Maybe I'm a little caught up in that masculinity. Like I love the fact that there's no school shootings here.
100%.
That's what I was
there would have been
say.
one, right?
Yeah.
That's what scares me.
Because I've seen videos online of like mums having to teach their babies like what to do, or like their children what to do if a school shooting happened, and they're like, act dead, like look like you're not breathing, like just God, like, and they're like, I can see that you're breathing, like stop. You know what I mean? Like having to teach your children that must be so
up.
Frightening.
Yeah.
Fuck, it's
pretty blessed.
It's gnarly, man. I mean, it's nice going to sleep at night and leaving your doors unlocked.
Yeah, for sure, we do.
It's like
it's nice knowing that someone's not like, because we feel safe within ourselves as a man with martial arts, right? So I know that someone cruises in the house. Unless they have a weapon, it's not a good house to walk into, you know. But if we had a gun, you'd feel even more solid, like, or a bow or something. Yeah. But anyway, Alicia, nutritionist. So, because you sent us, like, what does your soul want to? Like, I got some ideas, but what does your soul want to talk about? What are you passionate about at the moment in regards to the health system, in regards to women's health or even men's health? Probably both, right? Men's like the masculinity of men with the low testosterone dropping from just. What do you think that is? Do you think that's culture or environment, which is the same thing, right? But culture or or the plastics and the fucking inflammation, or just both, right?
Yeah, both. I feel like it is a mixture of everything. I think I know when like I got Rod's hormones tested, he's like, I want everyone, all of you, I want all of his friends, I want all of you to get your hormones tested. And he did, and it was really interesting to see like, you know, what their jobs were, what they were eating, and like how that kind of reflected in what they were eating. Like he's got a friend that lives in Brisbane, he's got a desk job, he's kind of been almost vegetarian his whole life, and his testosterone was so low, like just incredibly low. And it was just like that. He has such an intensely stressful job, and stress, like in the body, it's either like make hormones or stress, and your body like shunts making testosterone and estrogen away if there's too much stress. So that is down because of that. He is like, when you're sitting all day, like that's not like, you guys know that like building, like actually building muscle increase, like that has a like direct correlation with testosterone, like muscle building and testosterone. And so like that's a huge aspect. Having really poor quality food, like just shops at Coles and Woolies, and pesticides and glyphosates and things like that, actually they're endocrine disrupting or hormone disrupting in themselves. So that's, again, taking testosterone out of the body. And you look at, and people are like, oh, they're just like little things. You know, I get a bottle of plastic water, or like vegetables in plastic packets, or, you know, sprayed vegetables. And it's like, but our body accumulates everything, and it doesn't just, especially if you have fat stores in your body, all those things are stored in your fat, and they don't just go away. They're stored there. And it's not until you do like kind of like a cleanse or really change the trajectory of your life that things start changing. But yeah, I feel like we a huge thing for us was endocrine disrupting chemicals, and just where they're present in so many facets of our life, like from, you know, lining the tins of like just tin foods in general, that they're like just everything that's not in, like we exclusively have just like glass in our house, like containers, like there's not any kind of plastic in our house. And sorry, I forgot where I was going with that, but
like xenoestrogens.
Xenoestrogens. And you know, what these labels that say BPA free, that's a marketing thing in itself, because they don't have to list that. They've then replaced that with BPS or BPF. Like that's just another bisphenol or endocrine disruptor that they've just replaced it with to say, oh, it's BPA free. Marketing is just so crazy. I think that's like what I'm super passionate about, is how misled we're being, not only through like marketing, but also I think through social media. That's a huge thing. And I sent you guys a post a few weeks ago that said, there was this dietitian that posted, processed food will be essential, in italics, essential, if you're an athlete.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about that?
Well, actually, Harry wants me to do a video on that. He actually mentioned that the other day. And because this, I remember you were talking about what old mate was eating. I didn't actually see any of that story. The runner?
Oh, yeah, Ned Brockman.
Yeah, like great fucking cause. Good on him, you know?
He's fucking he's the man.
He's
like,
the man,
I love him. But fucking hell, what the fuck are they feeding you, bro? Like if your body's breaking down, and it's going to break down, and he's doing too many Ks anyway, like so much stress. But you think about, like, he's having chalky milks, pies,
meat pies,
heaps of meat pies, like fast food, just the whole time. Like, dude, what are you replacing your body with?
Because their belief is, what do you reckon? Their belief is calories, they need the condensed calories and sugar for the athlete.
So that's what I think. I was reading into it, and they're just like, oh, so like Fruit Loops and Cocoa Pops are actually necessary because you're not going to get that through Whole Foods, because it's just, there's not enough calories in it. I feel like that was the premise, that it's a calorie thing. And I was like what we do today, like even the best athletes, I'm like, but they're not training all day every day like we did when, like, our ancestors, we were on the go all day every day. They didn't have access to processed foods and they were thriving. Like we reproduced far more than we did today. Like I think the Australian average for children is now like 1.4 or 1.8. Like
Whoa.
it's atrocious. Like we're not even having like 2 babies per household. But like
So that means our population will drop
Yeah.
without immigration.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why there's so much immigration is because like
Yeah.
we're not doing anything.
Yeah, like 2 people are having 1.4 children.
Yeah.
How does that work? Like,
Well, as in like
obviously-
so like an average.
Yeah,
So
like an
like you
average
know
over,
some
like,
people are
families,
having
yeah, so they're having one.
some people are having 3, but it's
Yeah,
like
okay.
the averages.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's because, and then they're thinking about just that short-term effect, but they're also not thinking about that inflammation that will cause that
Yes.
bodies,
Yep.
because they haven't fucking felt it. When we're
Yeah.
talking about me eating that pizza and feeling my neck tighten up, and then I'm going to go to a jiu-jitsu match as a professional athlete with my fucking tight neck, or someone
Yeah,
wraps
yeah.
a triangle around my neck and I wonder why
Yeah.
my disc blows or some
Yeah,
shit,
yeah.
or the shitty water.
Yeah.
Like I had a guy that was cutting weight for a fight and he blew his neck while he slept. Yeah, that's the correlation with dehydration and disc space,
Yeah.
and every joint in the body is hydrostatic pressure. So that affects it, right? And if that water's shitty in the other person's water, and they can't measure all this like absorptions and stuff, but also just the subtle gut inflammation that I can feel sometimes. I noticed when I had smoked almonds, like non-activated smoked almonds, I'd get like a cramp in my gut. And I noticed, it was only while I ate it, I witnessed it, but I lost a little bit of tone, like very subtle tone in my stomach. And what I see with people that come in, very common, guys, girls too, but guys with lower back pain, is they'll have that lower abdominal lack of tone, and they literally, it's just falling out all day long.
yeah.
And I can, like even sitting here now, there's a tone in my stomach, right?
Yep.
Walking around, there's a tone in my stomach. When I turn in the steering wheel to the right and the roundabout, I can feel that tone in my stomach come in a little bit more.
Yeah.
And that tone is your whole intra-abdominal pressure and what decompresses your spine and holds the core set of your back. And if you have that little bit of inflammation, then obviously your body won't want to pull that in because it's going to pull it in the colon. So it takes the tone out of it because it hurts to pull it in. But these people that have, I don't think it's an exercise thing. I think it's their diet thing that they've just lost all this tone, and you need to bring it back. And sometimes it takes so long to come back. But I've noticed like I have to really consciously let go. I can make the tone go out and it looks like you have that little pot belly. But there's enough type 1 fiber endurance that we've done, enough postural exercise that we've done, enough movement that we've done, that we have endurance in that muscle to hold tone all day long and doesn't fatigue and just fall out of us.
Yeah,
you know?
it's a naturally, like, it's an involuntary system. It's all on the same nerve reflex loop, and it should happen naturally, but we just train it out. But if you ever look at like your children as they develop, they've got hoop tension. Their belly button's always drawing towards their spine as their limbs move away from their center.
Yeah.
But what was cool, man, is like I was doing this breathing pattern thing the other day. I was listening to Paul talk about it, and he said there's this guy who used to pop his neck a lot. And he ended up dying, dude, because he had a breathing pattern disorder.
Wow.
And it was at one of his friend's sons. So it's like a super sad story. But he was cracking his neck like crazy, and he fucking fucked his spinal cord doing it, dude.
Whoa.
I know. I was like, what the fuck?
Dude, I cracked my neck.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah, but he must have been going hard.
I think, I mean, how does that happen?
Yeah.
You know
like
what
he
I
must
mean?
have done it with his hands and just turned it, and all of a
Just-
sudden, like in a movie,
yeah,
when
like
the
a
person
l-
snaps your neck behind you,
Yeah.
and you just
I was
drop.
like, man, that's got to be
Crazy.
You
like
just dropped it.
one
yeah.
in a million, eh? Like, don't you reckon?
Yeah.
Because think about how many chiropractors do like,
Oh, just absolutely just destroy
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. I've actually heard a couple of stories. I saw one on TikTok. This person's like pretty well can't walk again. They went to a chiro, and that was going to be very, very rare. But if they're not doing almost a MRI or an X-ray before every visit, fuck, that shit can happen, eh?
yeah,
Like
well, I know. I was learning more about the neck the other day, and they were saying like some people just have really sharp spinous processes,
Yeah. Okay.
and like that, there's a lot of nerves around there, and so if you start messing around in their neck and you actually push too hard, it can create internal bleeding in the neck, and a lot of bad shit can happen. So
Yeah,
it's like
wow.
you got to like know what you're fucking doing in there,
yeah.
and that happens quite often, eh? Yeah, actually, Paul, I got on my voice memos, Paul talking about that.
Yeah.
Some
right.
people have like their pars are super sharp and their spinous processes are super sharp.
Okay. True.
Yeah.
Um.
Which is interesting, eh? Because sometimes I've got in there, I'm just like pushing pretty hard in that, like,
Yeah.
you know.
So what's your inspiration with all the nutrition stuff now? Like, what's your is it combating the misinformation? Because you know that these other people say the same thing about us, right? We're all just combating each other's misinformation.
Yeah.
It's the
That's
balance.
what, I feel like I wanted to like kind of discuss with this podcast is like when you guys were talking about how subtle food makes you feel now, like coming back to that intuition, like really deep body knowing and intuition, like me and Rod are the same. And I like to like make like a visual analogy of this, that I feel like all of our bodies are like this glass of water, and if you take like a drop of like brown dye and you put it in, you'll notice it. Okay. But if you have like a glass that is already brown and you drop something like a pure drop of water in it, it won't make a difference. So like that's the difference between someone that's having like McDonald's every day or having just stuff and they're just living off stress and, you know, not moving their body, and, you know, and then they have like one good quality steak or like some veggies and they're like, oh, but I didn't feel anything, didn't make a difference, because that's the difference. Yeah. But the more you come into connection with your body and you feel it and you're like, okay, and you know, like when you talk about, you're like, okay, this is what and you stand in the grocery store and you're like, what do I feel like for dinner? You know, I had that last night, I'm not feeling like that tonight. Whereas people like meal prep and have the same bloody thing every single day, like for lunch and dinner, like a robot. It's like that's not what our bodies are designed for. And I think or like my kind of like story and background into like how I got into nutrition was when I was probably 16, 17. I remember doing like a formal, and I looked back on photos and I was like, yuck, like I just looked fat. And like until that point I just ate whatever I wanted. And growing up we just had like it was home cooked meals, but it was just like spag bowl, chicken and chips. Like it wasn't like super nourishing food. And then my grandma, if she was around, she'd just feed us like macas and like donuts and just stuff from bakeries. And so I didn't have that like awareness always growing up. And and then I was like, okay, like I need to lose weight. And I don't know if you guys know Michelle Bridges, like she was on Biggest Loser. She had like a 1,200 calorie meal plan, and that was where I started. I was like, okay, I need to consume 1,200 calories every day, and that would just mean I would just look at packets when in the supermarket and I'd be like, oh, okay, this donut has 400 calories, that's cool, like that's, and you know, I lost weight, but it was obviously not like I wasn't nourishing my body at all. And then after about a year I developed anorexia pretty badly. I ended up in hospital. My heart actually, the way I ended up in hospital was they were doing an ECG on my heart, and I'd actually lost it's called your P wave in your heart. It's like the bit that goes doo-doo. And like I'd lost so much weight that I was losing muscle from my heart.
Oh wow.
And then it was like, you either, you know, do something to change this now, or you're just going to keep getting worse. And I feel like healing, and I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but I feel like it needs to come from within you. Like you can have people around you saying, you know, oh, you need to change this, you need to stop smoking, you need to do this, but until it comes from within you and you find your why and your purpose, you're not going to change, or you're not going to stick with the change at least.
I think it's confusing for a lot of people. Like you would have went to so many people that would have helped you, but they just tell you different things. Like when I had broken back, they told me so many things. There's 20 different opinions and they're all professionals. So I feel like these podcasts and like having you on is really important for people to see. And be like, and whoever this reaches, like knowing that the power is within you. Yeah,
that's it. And I think, and then so when I was in the hospital, they had like dietitians that were there, and then that their advice was just eat whatever you want, you need to gain weight. So I was just like, oh fuck it, like I just ate everything, and like I reckon I gained like 15, 20 kilos, just went in the complete opposite direction. And then, you know, just felt like so lost for a few years, because I was like, what, like, you know, and that's, you know, going back to that Instagram post, then I looked to social media and there's just so much conflicting information. I was like, oh, okay, there's these eating disorder recovery pages that are just like, the way to food freedom is just to eat everything. And I'm like, far out, like that's not healing your body. Like we know that healing your body is actually respecting your body, and that's not, just eating crap is not respect. Like that is not, like your body does so much for you every single day. Like it's constantly, you know, those inflammatory responses is your body being like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's the engine light.
Like, yeah, absolutely. And it wasn't until on my 18th birthday, I was like, something needs to change. Like I then dipped back into being like almost like 45 kilos, like really, really tiny again, and being like, I'm just ebbing and flowing. I'm not healing. Like I'm just going back and forth between gaining weight, losing weight. And I feel like people do that. They just swing on this pendulum of being like, oh yeah, I lost weight for the summer and now I'll just, put the weight back on, because people don't know how to sustain that. And and I ended up seeing a naturopath, and I'd never kind of delved into like the natural medicine world at all. And then I feel like she really just turned my life around. I then was inspired to study clinical nutrition, and then that first year, and I was still like on the pill at that point, and like I think I started taking the pill when I was like 14 years old, because I was just eating shit my whole life. I had acne everywhere, like all over my back, forehead, like I was covered in it, like chest, everywhere. It was so embarrassing. And the pill was just like, my mum took it when, until she got pregnant with me, and that was just the solution to acne, was just to take the pill.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until then that was like, and it changes your whole brain chemistry. I was like, my boyfriend at the time, I was like, wait, are we just friends? Like, why are we? Why are we together?
Really, did that happen?
That happened.
Oh,
like
I've heard about that shit.
It really does change your brain chemistry. Like that's literally, we ended our relationship because I was like, we're literally just friends. Like we don't act like we're in a relationship in any other sense. Like it's so wild. So then when I started actually eating real food, I was like, oh, and my body just stays at this set point, and just, it's like what my body is happy at. And then when you kind of go down that journey of respecting your body and nourishing your body, and then I did like a yoga teacher training, which like just made me go so inward, and I reckon was just like the best thing I did for, just really reconnecting with myself. And and now like here we are, like it's probably 5 years later, like being on this same trajectory of just being so aware of what makes my body feel the way it does, and like good quality water, movement, like having that like effortlessness and like fluidity in your body, and not feeling like you're constantly like your body's trying to push things away. Like just
effortlessness is like the perfect word, I think. Hey, remember, like I didn't have like anorexia or anything, but I had the similar, like I was always worried about getting fat, and then when Donald told me I could eat like steak, red meat as much as I want of it, I was like, oh, finally, motherfucker. Like I was just like, yes, I can just like, and I got skinnier, I got healthier, felt great. And I was like, yes, like now it's just like, this is easy.
Well, that's what we get with the cleanse, right? Like a lot of people just do it because they're scared about things crawling around in their body and shit. Yeah. But it's really, because it's not even the products, it's just the diet protocol, which is basically cut out all these things that you may inflame to, bring them back in, see how you feel. But more importantly, you can eat whatever you want, but it's just all got to be organic, grass-fed, just good shit, and just go hard. And then people like sort of get on. It's a path that begins that you may jump off a little bit, but you still remember it, so you're going to jump back on. Right? You can remember how good you feel, and it really empowers you, and it shifts
4 weeks too. Like 4 weeks, like you said, with the drop of water, like after 4 weeks, it's like probably half clear. So it's like it gives you that fucking, you're like, holy shit. Like I haven't met anyone that has said they have felt worse on the cleanse eventually. You know, I've had people that are like the purge or extract might be a little strong for, and they get a bit bloated or something, but I have never met anyone who's gone like, oh fuck, I didn't learn a lot on that.
Yeah, how you gonna lose when you're not eating shit?
Dude, I know. I know. It's like it's definitely not the cleanse. If like something like that happens to you and you're just like cutting out shit, it's like, dude, there's some other shit going on there.
Exactly. Yeah. I remember seeing a client once, and she's like, oh, I've done the cleanse twice, but after I finish, like when I go back to eating what I was eating before, I feel like shit. And I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, wow. But like, that's so obvious.
That's
you know
a
what I mean? Like
psychological
that's,
issue.
That's fully a psychological. That's what's the child, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
And I think he's touched on something before that was really cool. And I've actually been doing it recently. I think Paul mentioned it years ago too, how you were like, it's a nice way of thinking about it when you said like, think of your body like it's doing its best. It's trying, it's here with you.
Yeah.
So what I've been doing is thinking of myself as separate, like my body, my vessel is separate to me and my soul. And it's like it's doing its best. It's here for me to experience this reality and have a really good time and experience with other people around me and travel and have fun and eat good food. But you got to respect that you got to respect it. You got to give it, you got to service your car.
Yeah.
Right. And it's also what I respect in people is it, and everyone does when you're in control of what you put in your mouth, right? Because that is a rare thing, right? I can't find many very rare friends like eat organic, especially men. Like
it's very rare.
I find women can jump on the path, they're almost smarter with it. Like, oh, I understand that does this, sweet, I can do this. But guys, it's very hard to shift their psyche around it because we're stubborn.
Yep.
And when someone can be a multimillionaire, someone can be a professional athlete, whatever, but there's a level of, obviously, like you said, you're disrespecting your body when you're eating the food, and a level of me when I witness them doing it repetitively. Obviously, we all dabble in, but repeatedly, I'm like, oh, a little bit of a disrespect there, right? But if they were on top of that shit and doing that, then they're almost like a fucking god among men, or a queen, king archetype, right? That's what it's all about. And it's such a unique thing for someone to be in control of what they put in their mouth. And it takes years.
It does. I look at billionaires or anyone with a lot of money, and they've got this chip on their shoulder. Like some of them, not all of them, but I'm like, I look at them and they're like, look at me, I've got so much money. I'm like, you're unhappy, dude. Like you've got fucking billions of dollars, but you can't eat organic food and do everything right. Like, I don't know. That's what a king to me is. That, someone like Paul, that's just like living it, man. He's got his relationships on point. Like he's open and vulnerable and can tap into his ego, but then can be loving and just I find that really inspiring in this life because there's something deeper than material possessions.
Yeah, it's powerful. They look powerful. They don't need nothing from you.
That's the key, and that only comes from, I think, like deep sense of self and self-inquiry and like doing the work, eating good food, training, showing up.
And that really and as you guys touched on before, like actually, you're like cooking or like preparing all this food is like hard work, and you train, you do all this stuff, and it's hard, but like hard work is what we're meant to do. I'm like, far out, being a mum is like the hardest work I've ever done. But bloody hell, it's like the most rewarding work I've ever, like it's so beautiful. Like it's just, and that's the same with everything that's like hard or challenging. There's just so much more like beauty and reward in it that you
you create life. Like I see you as, you literally like, you're the creator of life. You're the gatekeepers of life. And it's cool. It's like you said before, how you're in that sort of, he'll provide, you'll turn the house to a home together. You guys seem happy, right? You guys seem like it's balanced. People from the outside may see it as,
I've had like so many people, like you're just letting him like control you, and like you have to stay in the house and things like that. Or what did someone say the other day? Because I think I posted something about I think it said like weak men create masculine women and masculine men create feminine women, or something like that. And then this chick just like went off in the comments like, I consider myself masculine, are you saying that I don't deserve, and people just get like really like triggered. And like I remember you saying something about like, really looking at triggers and why they exist, and like,
and creating like, I'm doing this tarot thing at the moment. I've only done the full so far, but the other day I was like writing, and I was like Rami kind of crossed over, and like the strap got stuck in the wheel, and I was like, fuck you, like just like instantly triggered. And I was like, the fool card just came to me in my head, and I was like, I'm the fool that just rode in front of him. Like I was playing out that archetype, and I think with all of that stuff, we're all playing out somewhat of a little bit of a victim archetype and not being a real adult. Yeah, because we're all really like boys and girls that haven't grown up, and when you do grow up, you take responsibility for your fucking stupid comments on there, and because you're triggered. Like on Instagram, are you kidding?
Yeah.
For some reason, it brings out your shadow so much. And it does mine too. Like sometimes I see something, I'm like, oh God, I'd love just, you look fucking stupid doing that. Like,
dude, real quick, a guy commented on my video with Sweeney, like, I did the shoulder video. with the Emma's back.
Oh yeah.
And that's at like nearly 500,000 views, I think. And
Yeah.
this guy just commented on it this morning saying, added to shit physio folder. Added to shit physio folder. And I clicked on him. He's a physio from somewhere. It's full evidence-based, because evidence-based physios don't believe in posture.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the evidence is whatever. But it's like we're talking about feeling the neck. We're talking about rounding your back out and putting your neck back. It feels cooked in your C6 vertebrae, you know, but they're waiting for a study for it. But man, it doesn't really get to me that anymore, which is good, but it fucking did.
Yeah,
it
for
did.
sure.
But you know what, actually? No, you're right. For a moment.
Yeah.
For a moment it does.
Yeah, you want to ride back and be like, you fucking, and then if you want to come to the mats, like we'll roll, I'll fuck you up.
Yeah, one-on-one, I'll decapitate you in the Coliseum.
I'll literally decapitate you. Or like someone commented on your post the other day, I think the one where you were making gummies, and they were like, oh, what about like the ton of ink in your skin? And I was like, oh, I don't know if it's a joke or not, but
it wasn't a joke.
Like it wasn't
a joke.
Like people just love.
Yeah, like what, you want me to undo what I did when I was 18? Like I'm doing my best.
Yeah, and I think like, yeah, good call. It's like we all learn and we grow. Like, I'm sure we do enough things on point to keep our tattoos, and it's fine. You know what I mean?
But we got our heavy metals and shit tested.
Yeah, I know. It's all good.
Yeah,
like it was kind of high, but
but I wasn't high in the ones that were in ink.
Yeah,
I was high in the ones that were from fucking bongs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, mine was high in aluminium, probably from fucking my mercury fillings, or I don't even know. Like anything.
Yeah.
Could be anything.
Remember?
What was it?
Well, I mean, remember you used to
Aluminum.
say you used to love cans when you were young.
Yeah.
Could be that because it stays for a long
I
period
used to
of time.
have Coca-Cola.
Yeah,
Of course.
Yeah,
Of course.
Or and then she would mention. I mean, Kirsty mentioned like water, and you love like baths and stuff.
Yeah,
Could be that
for sure.
Who knows?
But I don't have. I mean, I did when I was living with you.
Yeah,
but
you loved a good bath.
I don't
You
have,
actually inspired me to have baths. I never had baths.
Yeah, for me, it's like a meditative state.
Remember when you got me like grinding ginger into the bath and shit?
Yeah, that shit's the best.
That was
bro.
it was good. I got
like,
sick and grinded
so
ginger
good.
into it. And
Yeah, but that's a thing. Like we should have had a Sprite filter on it at least. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah,
we just didn't.
all in moderation.
Little things along the way.
Yeah, but I was thinking like about all this stuff lately, and it's like polarity is everything. Like polarity, we need that physio to be like he makes us, and we make him.
Yeah.
So it's like it's all perfect if you just step out of yourself and be like, fuck it, we're all just forms of God, just doing our best. And like I feel like if you allow yourself not to take things personally, it really helps. Especially because we are in a health industry and we are telling people how to live.
Yeah.
And
Or not,
that's
I guess,
gonna-
telling people, but like inspiring. And
Yeah, well,
suggesting,
we try not to tell people, but we just live it. And that is going to offend people because the mirror sits right here. And it's like if I see you and you're healthy and I'm fucking got pimples coming out of my face and I'm feeling shit today, I'd probably be like, fucking she thinks she's better than me. Or like, you know, whatever your thing could be as a child that you've passed on from your parents or whatever. But at the end of the day, I think it's just the polarity that's important. And if you can see the polarity, awareness is the prerequisite for change.
Yeah.
So that's how you become okay with it. So fuck that physio, dude.
Yeah. Fuck that physio.
Yeah, and we don't need you don't need anyone to tell you. All that matters is how you see yourself.
Yeah. And I think like that's a huge thing as well. Like when we were speaking about like that dietitian that was like, oh, you need processed food to fuel your body. What pisses her off is like people like you that are like, you know, you can just fuel your body with whole foods. And she's like, oh no, you absolutely can't. Like you need this amount of, she's like a macro counting, like you need to have X amount of carbs. I'm like, when did we ever do that? Evolutionarily, when did we get a calculator and go, oh, this piece of bread has 56 grams of carbs? It's like, never.
Yeah,
Never.
And what I find is they believe it way more than we do.
Yeah.
Like it's always like I don't know, like that spoon chick or whatever. It's like they're just fanatical about like, nah, the studies are fucking this is like they're way more fanatical about what we're not trying to like just tell everyone that, you know, like we're not just like da.
Have you heard the Casey and Callie Means podcast on Joe Rogan?
No.
You should listen to that. It only came out
I gotta listen to that.
a couple of weeks ago. It's one of the best podcasts I've ever listened to in regards to health because they're two. She's from Stanford, so they were like fully in the system, and then they've sort of gotten out of it now, and like high, like she was like honors in her class sort of stuff, and was like, oh shit, like this, what have we been doing? She's like, they went deep into how everything's funded from pharmaceuticals, the food, like 11 times more funding from the food industry in the study than the government.
Yep.
And she goes, there's all these conflicts of interest that really do matter. And she goes, and now I realize it's all just the food. It's all these xenoestrogens, all the plastics. She's like, there's plastics and everything. And that the plastics is xenoestrogens and they're fatter from the sugar and the fat turns into estrogen if you're fat, and then it's going to lower testosterone, and then it's going to infertility's going down. And apparently, testosterone, or was it testosterone or fertility in men, sperm count in men maybe is going down by 1% every year.
Yeah,
and it's just keeps happening.
Not
which
enough,
is
dude.
like that track shows that men are literally becoming infertile. Women also.
Yeah.
But it feminizes them, and it would, right?
Yeah.
Because it makes you want things. Like I feel like it's also a bit of culture. Like when we go to jiu-jitsu, when I make another man tap, and same thing to me, it's part of the game, right? There's a feeling that's attached to that, a feeling of power and a camaraderie also amongst the boys. Like everyone's high at the end. Everyone's like, yeah, what are you up to? Like there's a level of that. And without that, if I just had work and just work, without that fucking that I need to fight. I need to do something.
dominate.
It's in me.
Yeah.
And it's natural. It's like it, but it makes me happy. But it's that balance, and it's, you know, I can definitely soften also. But it's I think that's all a part of it too. It's like just as much as that.
You think about like, you know, the drug companies and how they're funding everything, and that's what I was going to ask before when we're touching on it. Is like, do you think it's sinister? Do you think like they're coming at it from a point of like, we need to keep everyone sick? Or do you think they're just uneducated and they don't know and they're doing their best?
I feel like I gave them the benefit of the doubt for way too long.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's, you know, it's way easier to be like
course they're trying to keep people
blissfully
sick.
ignorant.
Yeah.
And like,
They're
and
creating
that's what
the product that fucking does it. Of course they're trying to keep you sick.
So I feel like the further you go down like this kind of like natural health realm, the more you just don't trust anyone. You're like, why is everyone trying to poison me?
Yeah, for sure.
It is like that. Like have you seen like the health ministers around the world, like how huge and
I've seen the
inflamed they are?
Australian
Like
fucking one. Are you kidding?
it's crazy.
What's going on, man?
And like that the Australian food pyramid still exists, and it's like don't eat butter. Salt is like has a huge X through it. Like never eat salt.
Yeah.
And it's like grains. It's eat something like 7 serves of grains a day.
Yeah.
Who's eating like 7 meals a day to have like 7 serves of grains
And
in a day?
did you see the thing saying like in America they're like, okay, so like if you want to save money, like, you know, housing's getting up, we're gonna have to start having cereal for dinner. Did you see that?
No.
They're like, he's like promoting like Fruit Loops basically for dinner. He's like, if you can just like supplement that, look how much money you save. Like,
Yeah,
It's
and
crazy.
fiber, it does this.
But that's
got
the thing
fiber.
as well. It's like people, you know, and they make it, well, that's like a perfect example is, I think it would have been a few months ago now, but we took a trip to the Gold Coast to see Rod's papu and
Papu?
papu, Greek for grandfather.
Oh yeah. Orpa.
Yeah. And there's this like huge like Greek shop on the way, and like Rod always has to stop. We get like hundreds of liters of like extra virgin olive oil and just like olives,
Sick.
and like it's like the best thing ever. But there's these like huge drums where you can just like scoop olives out, just like every variety of olive you could have. And Rod's like, oh, can I eat too much olives? I'm like, no, like they're so rich in polyphenols and antioxidants, like they're incredible. And he's like, oh, amazing. And like got them. We're driving from Brisbane to the Gold Coast, and he's like smashed like half the bag. And he is one of those people that like if something like is off in something, he'll react to it very quick. Like he started to get like a stuffy nose and started sneezing, and I was like what's going on? And they still like stick the like sticker of what olives you got kind of on the bag, and I'm like, fuck, and I flip it over and it's like the olives, and then it's like canola oil, and he's like, he just got so mad, and I'm like, oh, like it's so annoying that, you know, like you think that you're safe in like one element, and then it's like you're like absolutely rooted with canola oil, and it's so annoying because it's at the end of the day, they're cheap things, hey, like white flour, white sugar, things that they just use to fill products because they're cheap. And that's what, you know, we've never been so worried about like the economy and money, and that's a huge thing as well, that like people are looking for, you know, the cheap processed foods that, you know, you can get like a loaf of bread for a few dollars instead of spending like $12-14 on a loaf of good quality sourdough. It's like, oh, I'll just eat this like fortified white bread that's just got all the crap in it.
It's kind of unconscious sometimes. Like, I'll consider myself someone who really looks at everything I put in my body.
Yeah.
And of course, like 80-20. But like even like we would have coconut milk years ago on the cleanse. And the last cleanse I did, I had coconut milk because in my head I thought it was, I just didn't check it. I was like, oh, I trusted it.
Yeah.
and it had vegetable gum in it.
You let
And
your
guar
guard
gum.
down for like 2 seconds.
Yeah, I know. And you're like,
What is vegetable gum?
fuck. Well, it's just,
I think it's a
ve-
thickener, isn't it?
yeah,
Like
it's
the,
like, it's basically a seed oil.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then guar gum is just like something that holds it together, so it can bind.
Yeah, so that it
Yeah.
doesn't separate into like just coconut and water.
Is guar gum shit?
essentially. I think any kind of gum, it's like it just like sits in your body.
Yeah.
It just doesn't, like your body doesn't know what to do with
Yeah.
these things.
So like a glutinous sort of.
Yeah, like a glue. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's not going to kill you, but fuck.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, it's a good lesson there with the canola oil one. Hey, it's like,
Crazy.
but like, fuck. Why are we always, it's just like, you
Why
have
is
to
it
always,
everywhere?
I looked at Poppy, my roommate, went in the fridge. Gonna need some butter.
Yeah.
Right? And I looked at. She's got this spreadable butter.
Flora.
And no, it was like
Anything spreadable.
Yeah.
Lou Park or whatever that brand
Oh
is.
yeah, I know the
okay.
one.
Yeah,
The
and
gold with the fucking green and
And it
silver.
goes whatever butter, and then it said mixed with canola oil. And I was like, fuck.
Come on.
You got to let her know.
Yeah, she's still at that age. I don't. She hasn't respected her body yet.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
like
yeah.
she does a little bit living with us, but
Yeah,
she's still young enough that there needs to be enough suffering before she'll make a
You should
shift.
play like a prank on her, or like I don't know.
Oh man, well fuck, her hair was falling out and shit when she moved in
True.
with me. Like she's only 21 or maybe 21.
Yeah.
And she's made some changes, but doesn't get it yet, you know, and
that's
like
like
doesn't
what we're
see
saying,
that
it
past the
has
3
to-
nights a week and fucking
Yeah.
like crumpets in the morning and stuff. And
Yeah.
I just see like, oh, this poor girl, like there's no protein. Her how is her body growing hair, like her
Yeah.
hormones, like all this sort of stuff. I really feel sorry for women, because it's. I grew up with my mum, and my sister, and how we talk about that traditional aspect. It's funny how how you can see your parents, you can just people go down the same path,
Yeah.
or they do polar opposites.
Yes.
So you and I have like my mum was the provider, dad didn't work.
Yeah.
In turn, that makes me the same feeling like I don't expect my future missus to work, right? But the same option that Rod said, like if you want to work, your heart,
Yeah.
let your heart be your compass, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
You can still you can have you play with your business, but there's going to be food on the table and the rent's paid,
Yeah,
and,
exactly,
and you still go on holiday. You know, it's funny how our like parents, you can almost like with you would have went sort of opposite, wouldn't you? With your sort of
Well, my dad was like really different to what you knew him. Like my dad was like a fucking like a man, like
Yeah.
he'd be like, "Don't fuck with me,"
yeah
which I like now looking
Yeah,
back
yeah.
on it. But then my mum was kind of also like that.
yeah
Like she was. How was she? She wasn't super feminine,
with the two of them.
Yeah.
Who was like, like I feel like
dude. Mum would fucking kill him.
really
Like
Yes.
my mum.
so she had that subtle power.
She would get a knife and cut his throat, like
Yeah,
proper.
right.
Like I remember one time she had a knife and Brad Rang. I shouldn't say this, but Brad Rang was like called the cops because she was going to kill him with a knife, like
Right.
proper kill him, like
Yeah.
chasing him with a knife to kill him.
Whoa.
Yeah, so like,
What did he do?
fuck, I don't know. He was a bit of a rat
Yeah.
bag. Like he was a bit of a rat bag, and they were living together, and that was when she was really sick. So she was on like
All
morphines, like Oxycontin. She was addicted to Oxycontin. So yeah, he was always up to mischief. But I was with Dad. But Dad didn't really want to be a dad then. He wanted to fucking go out and meet chicks and
Yeah, right.
do all that shit. But that was cool because it was like, I went from being almost spoiled from like 11 to, 12 years old, and then went to being nothing and having nothing. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me because it just like makes you want to work. It makes you want to like figure out who you are and grow, even though it was traumatic. I feel like that's, yeah. I think we were talking about the other day, like when we have kids one day, it's like you want to give them everything, but you also want to teach them values and how to work for it. And like,
Yeah, fully. I
you
know
know?
that's going to be a big part of my life.
Yeah.
Instilling wisdom. Like,
Yeah.
listen, boy. You
yeah,
know, we're doing a bit of jiu-jitsu today before you get this, or we're doing this, or here's the
Yeah.
chores. Like, it's funny. I'll probably make them do more chores than I did.
yeah.
Yeah.
But do you think that's what is important with a kid is to teach them and instill those values in them, even though we will have money and we will be able to provide for them.
Yeah,
You
they're
know,
not
what's
going to
the
a
answer
public
there?
school. They're definitely not going to a
Nah.
public school because they could have a friend with some lad, and all of a sudden they're fucking eshe.
Yeah,
you know, like
exactly.
that's not happening.
Yeah, for sure. And the thing is, like, yeah, you see people that are good people and their kids go so wrong.
Yeah,
It's like, what is the answer? I don't know. Maybe their soul's here for their own journey.
That's
But
it.
I think that you just need to like tap into. Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's going to be the biggest teacher for anyone. Yeah,
yeah,
And I think that's what, like, I really do believe that like all of your children are like your biggest teachers. Like
Yeah.
they'll always
Me
come
too.
here to teach you something. Like I know
Yeah.
even with Zeus's birth, like I feel like that just like taught
is
me
pretty
so
solid.
much.
It's a
Like
sick name.
it's so thank you.
Yeah.
Obviously Rod's idea.
Yeah.
How
He's a
good
Greek
that
god.
you Zeus, man.
Zeus, man.
It's so sick.
Yeah.
I loved that. I loved all Greek mythology as a kid. I know it pretty
Yeah.
well.
Powerful.
And yeah, so when you think about having like, how many children do you want?
At this stage, I feel like we'd like at least 4 babies, but Rod's also like, you're the one creating them. If we get to 2 and you're like, that's it. He's
Yeah.
also like, I'm not gonna force you to have so
Yeah.
many babies.
Like, hey,
But you know, I might get to 4 and be like, want 8.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
because I was speaking about like Ballerina Farm, and there's another lady, Farmhouse on Boone. She's amazing, and she's got 8 children, and they're
Yeah.
a family of 10, and she's like still making salad every day, makes it look so effortless. And
Yeah,
you're like,
sick.
oh, it's just the dream, you know?
it's the pendulum swings, right? How we talk about, you know, the femininity the masculinity of the female in the workforce or whatnot comes in like with, and almost like for a lot of people, right? You got to imagine with inflation and the way the world is for most, if you're in a 9 to 5, it's almost like if they want that life or at least a comfortable life, the girl almost has to work, right? If the guy doesn't have something bigger going on, the girl sort of has to add to the mortgage, have to support. Like it's not everyone can live like that. And obviously Rod's a good builder and he's set in that sense. But now I feel like, you know, that Ballerina Farm has millions of followers, you know?
Yeah.
So there's obviously an attraction to people like, why are we all attracted to this woman that like bakes, has like a family like ranch, looks like the husband and her love each other so much. The kids love each other. The kids are involved. They got animals. Like there's something about that we're so attracted to. And I feel like maybe it's swinging back towards that a little bit with some like, because there's a lot of girls that now do just want that sort of traditional aspect. But 10 years ago, it was like boss lady, you know, which is still
And it
great.
is, like-
You got free choice.
That's it. Like you've got the choice. Like even like running a social media page is like hard. Like, you know, if you're doing it yourself, like I'm now like, it's a lot slower because I'm like, I want to be so present with my baby that I'm like, I don't have as much time to like edit videos, film content, you know, do all this stuff. So it's slower, but you know, like when Rod's like, oh, you know, when we're on the farm, like, you know, I'm going to take Zeus and, you know, all our babies and do like farm work. And, you know, you can, like if you want to, you know, pour more time into doing this because like I know you're good at it, and like if we want to like sell meat and everything else on the farm, like, you know, that's the way you can contribute, and like that's awesome. And like I want to do it. It's not like he's telling me I have to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think you should. Yeah, I think you should really do content. I reckon you would kill it. Hey, like you can just see it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's,
absolutely. But it's almost like you could put someone on to do it, like maybe just once a day. I mean, once a week.
Once a week.
Yeah.
just all those little like
Follow me
handed
around.
things.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
people talk about tap water and blah blah, but like all the little things, all the actual, because the gold for people that are living it is you're living it. So I know people love watching me cook and shit. You know, we can talk about things in the gym and doing exercises, but we love seeing Paul. You know, people love watching Jake make a bag at home. Like these. They feel like they get to know you, but these little things in life, like the water you get used, like people need those details. That's what they want. They need to be spoon fed.
Well, that's what I want. That's what we want.
Yeah, that's what we want.
It's like, it's cool, eh? Dude, I just bought a new water charger. The other one broke.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I can't wait to show you.
Really?
It's fucking
Fully
sick.
spins it?
Dude, fully charges it hexagonal water.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it needs to structure into a hexagon to be able to be like electric.
Wow.
Yeah, so it fully charges. It's just the best way to do it without like creating like a full paramagnetic diamagnetic rock setup. But I'll do that when I get a house. But yeah.
That'd
Fuck,
be
I just
sick.
love water, man.
Yeah.
And reverse osmosis is the best, man. I've just been researching the shit out. Yeah, for sure.
When we buy a house for sure, I
Yeah.
have that full. Imagine our Jake and I's dream is, I'm sure we'll have houses eventually, but like we'd love to get a big property, but like land, but we want to live like near the beach, right? So here on the coast, but like right on the beach ideally, and build a duplex, big duplex, right? And just mirror it and have like big fuck off kitchen. When I think about that shit, all I think about is an island bench top and a backyard for honey.
Me too.
And then my chick can design the rest of it.
Yeah.
I don't really care.
I
think
I
about
know
a
she's gonna do it better
cinema
than I
room.
can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a cinema room, 100% a cinema room.
Yeah, with
But we
aircon.
visualize like that life of like, okay, Harry or whoever our filmer is, you know, that Harry's still going to be around, but you know, have someone come film, and film that life of it was always the white picket fence. You move somewhere with your, family and that, but you can live next to your friends. You can you can create a tribe, and you can create a tribe in a modern way. I don't have to live in a community. We can just have a few houses side by side, but then all of a sudden the females have support of other females when it's time to have children. We got support with each other. The dogs have support with each other.
Yeah.
If I take the dog for a walk, they can come, and you've got this community where your friends just next door to you, but you can still retreat to your own abode.
Yeah.
Which is the dream, and that's what we're going to do, because people think you can't do that.
And we'll have a chef.
You can.
And we'll have a chef, yeah.
Yeah. But that's the way it used to be. Like we used to live in communities and tribes, and I feel like that's absolutely the dream. Like I don't know what I would have done. Like I have such a beautiful, I feel like, just sisterhood of other mothers that I don't know what I would have done postpartum if I didn't have them, because Rod was like, oh, I'm not just gonna sit around all day, like that he just wants like to sleep and boob. Like when they're a newborn, there's not a heap that the dad can do, and like I totally get that. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just laying here resting with him anyway. But like other mamas like coming in and bringing nourishing food, and like you can be like, oh yeah, I just eat organic. And like I have this one like beautiful friend that I feel like I have like two friends, as you said, that that eat organic, that are just actually really similar to you. And she just did like every week, every time she'd make a dinner, she'd just like make a separate portion, put it in the freezer for like me leading up to my birth, and then she came over and just like with like 5 different meals like every week, and it was just like, you're like, that's what especially women need. And that's how I feel like, I feel like there's this narrative now of just, mothers being so depleted, and like all of my family lives in Victoria. Like I don't have my family here. Yeah. And Rod's dad lives in Cyprus. So we've just got his mum here. Yeah. And I'm like, we always had family, and especially just like women living in like tribes and communities, really helping each other. And we see this still exists in non-Western cultures. Yeah. Like that the mother-in-law actually just like moves in with you and just does, all your washing, all your cooking, like everything postpartum, and just really like nourishes and supports you. But, we've moved, I feel like we have this thing now where we need to move as far away as we can from like our family and other people,
and live
alone.
live
alone. Like
I always want to live with people. I love it. I love dinners. I love smoking a bag and asking people how their day was. Like I want people in my life. I love it.
Yeah.
Then I want to be on a retreat as well.
Imagine being a mother that has to do it like all by herself. Yeah. And in say in a low income household where they can't even afford a cleaner to help clean, or they can't afford. Yeah. My friend Jamie just got a chef. Yep. And just comes like twice a week and just like meal preps and cooks him a meal on the spot, but meal preps all good organic stuff for him. Yeah. And she goes, it's so good. Like and the guy, he's working hard, like multi-millionaire, so he's obviously providing that for him, but that financial abundance has really unlocked almost that femininity for her, and unlocked a bit of freedom for her, and just like a bit of energy. Yeah. So it's just like,
it's a man, I had it in Texas. It was a game changer.
Yeah, really.
I had like, she cooked me like 4 meals a week, and it was like the best tasting meals, and I had like 6 servings per dish. Wow. And I just come home from training, eat straight away. It's the
that's so we got to have that.
It's like, it's unbelievable.
We got to have that. That's what we want. We want a chef that just comes even like once or twice a week. Yeah. And then just all organic stuff. And I know we'll manifest it right when we want it. Like
100%.
We could put it out on Instagram, and there'll be some local mum that would love to cook for us to make some money on the side. Yeah. And then all of a sudden I know that we could create a full company for her. Yeah. Like, you want to do this now? All right, we can definitely do this. Yeah. Because it's cool. Like with us now, it feels really nice to be able to send momentum to people we believe in. Like say if someone's got something to believe in, like we can post for them, or like give an initiation of like, oh, follow this person, they're doing this. And all of a sudden that starts something, a bit of momentum for them to shift the world. Yeah. And we've had like cafes that have reached out for us to put products in the stores and that, but we're like, can't do it because the rest of your shit's not organic. It's not spray free. Like we just doesn't feel right. But like the moment that we believe in it, we'll always support people in our circle, because that's how you shift the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like I know, like I've had, you always like you just said, you have like companies reaching out to you being like, oh, can you promote our product? And I'm like so like strict. I'm like, but like, there's this one thing on your website that like it just doesn't align with me. So.
Yeah. Because money and truth aren't the same thing.
Exactly.
It's like, it's as clear as day. I fucking cannot stand like if someone's promoting something that's got something bad in it. It's like this CBD thing sent me gummies the other day, CBD. And I was like, look, I'll promote your CBD, but like your gummies are full of shit. Like, you know, it's out of control. I can't believe people, and everyone's promoting it. It's like Red Bull. I would never promote
remember
Red Bull.
those like apple cider vinegar gummy things that I had that company reach out and I was like, no. Like,
Are they full of shit?
Well, they're literally just like sugar, like they're actual like lollies. And they've got, I think like the clinical dose of like apple cider vinegar in it. But I'm like, oh, I wonder like if this is actually having an impact.
Yeah.
Because it's sugar, but then you're having.
True.
Or if it's people just think, oh, I'm getting apple cider vinegar.
Yeah.
So easy to get apple cider vinegar.
It's so easy to shut it down.
I know.
Yeah, wow. All right, well, we've got to get into this bread, dude. For sure.
Yeah, we'll have some bread. I'm going to have a workout now.
Yeah, I got someone coming check out a shoulder, but
Cool.
But thanks for coming on. This is
thanks,
actually so enjoyable. Such a good conversation. It's nearly an hour and a half.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy. And
definitely
would love to have you on again at some stage and go into, we'll get some people just to write in some topics and whatnot and do some cool stuff. Like what, if you were to come on again, what would be something passionate you'd love to go into? Is there anything that comes to mind?
I feel like, as you said, like I'd love to like put it out to other people. Like if they have any questions about, you know, like the way I live or like as in like having maybe like that more, traditional like marriage and lifestyle or anything nutrition related. I'm always so happy to speak about. But
Awesome. Yeah. So guys write in, send us a DM. We'll note it. And next time we have a Alicia nutritionist on, we'll bring it up. So that's how they can find your Instagram, Alicia nutritionist. Is there any underscores or?
Mindfully Holistic is my handle.
Yeah. Mindfully
Nice
Holistic.
handle.
Yes.
Nice. That is nice. So give her a follow and she'll, the content will be coming your way. No doubt.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Get off the
Thanks,
seed
guys.
oils. Stay on the sourdough. Love you all.
Yeah. Love you. Thank you.